welcome to my channel, and if you're new here, please do not forget to subscribe. So today I'm going to talk about another very important topic, and that is how to ace the technical interview. So if you're in a career in tech, you definitely know that the technical interview is one of the most important parts that helps determine whether you get the job or not. In this video, I'm going to be giving you tips and ideas of what you can do in order to be successful in the technical interview itself. And so I'm going to be dividing the technical interview into two parts. And to start with, I'm going to talk about the hypothetical questions part. And this is the part whereby an interviewer poses a question and tells you to give an approach of how you would solve it. Most of the time, you'd be told to write the code on a paper. It can be on a whiteboard. It can be on the computer. It depends with the interviewer. And so what you need to do when it comes to this part of the interview is that, number one, you have to ensure that you spend the first portion, or rather the first few minutes, iterating the problem to the interviewer. Ask as many questions as you can about the problem and ensure that you get as many parameters as you can. And by doing so, you'll be getting an idea of how you can approach the problem and how you can solve the problem. The second tip that you want to follow when it comes to this part of the interview is that you want to ensure that you do not focus on the correctness of the solution. Rather, what you want to do is that you want to focus on the steps and you want to focus on the process of solving the problem. So I used to be that kind of person who would get so paranoid whenever I would not get the solution to a problem. And this really used to affect me in that I would find myself failing in my interviews. Most of these interviewers are looking for people who are good problem solvers, and this is what you want to portray. And how do you do this? You do this by asking a question whenever you find yourself stuck. You do this by saying your ideas out loud. Do not be afraid to talk about your ideas. Do not be afraid to talk about what you're thinking about whenever you're solving a problem. Do not be afraid to communicate to the interviewer about whatever you think is the right solution, or rather whatever you think is the correct approach. And by doing this, you're actually showing the interviewer that you're a good problem solver. And trust me, this is what is going to help you secure the job, even if you did not get the solution to the problem. And that is where communication comes in. You want to ensure that you communicate throughout the interview, be it in the beginning whereby you ask questions about the question itself. While doing the problem, you want to ensure that you communicate your ideas, talk about the solution and what you're thinking about. So trust me that most of these interviewers want you to succeed. So I'm going to reiterate the fact that do not be afraid to ask for help whenever you feel that you're stuck. And most importantly, whenever you find out that you do not understand a concept, do not be afraid to ask. And so the third and very important tip is that you want to ensure that before the interview, you are ready and that you're well prepared for the interview itself. And how do you get prepared? You get prepared by ensuring that you have mastered the data structures and algorithms, because these concepts are what are covered in most of these interviews. You don't want to go to an interview and you're asked about, say, linked lists, for example, and you do not know about linked lists. So you want to ensure that you have practice and that you are well prepared for the interview itself. I talked about how to master data structures and algorithms in my previous video, so please feel free to check it out. I'm certain it's really going to help you in preparing, or rather in practicing for the interviews themselves. And now I'm going to talk about the second part, and this is the part whereby you get to talk about your experience and the projects. And most of the time, the interviewers would ask you to talk about a particular project, or rather talk about the projects that you have worked on. So how do you approach this part of the interview? The number one thing that I would say is that pick a project that you feel that you learned a lot from, because when you pick this kind of project, you're going to have a lot to talk about, and most of the times the interviewer will ask you to talk about the challenges that you faced and how you went about the project and talk about what you learned. And by picking this kind of project, this is going to help you when it comes to answering these questions. The most important part is that when you talk about the projects, you want to show that you're the kind of person who when you came across a problem, you thought about the solution that would be most optimal. Be ready to talk about how you solved it, or rather how you will solve it in future if given the chance. And this is where the part about being a good problem solver comes in. So all interviewers want to see that you're the kind of person who, when faced with a problem or a challenge, comes up with solutions, or rather comes up with ways to solve the problem itself. And then finally, you want to ensure that throughout the entire interview, you portray confidence and that you communicate in a confident way. And how does confidence help? Confidence helps in that you're able to communicate more effectively, and that your body language shows that you're the kind of person who believes in themselves and you believe in your ideas. You don't want to be that kind of person who is fidgeting while communicating, or you don't want to be that kind of person who appears so scared whenever you're communicating to your interviewer. This shows that you're the kind of person who does not believe in their skills, or rather you're the kind of person who does not believe that they're fit for the job itself. And that is why being confident is a very important thing, and this is actually something that I personally struggle with, but over time, trust me, practicing really does help. So if you're the kind of person who struggles with communicating and confidence, practice by starting to talk to your friends. Ensure that you do mock interviews to prepare yourself, and trust me, that is really going to help as well. And so those are the few tips that are really going to help you be successful in your technical interview. And I hope that you get to follow them, and I hope that you get to ace the technical interview and secure the jobs. So thank you so much, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.